Hi everyone, welcome back. Here's a new twist a bit further. We deal with this normally in year 11 methods Western Australia, which most of the Australian courses will be called 11 methods. If you're in New South Wales though, they'll call it advanced, 11 advanced. So a lot of people may do this or start to do this in the year 10 advanced course, which is not really advanced, it's a 10A course. It's like an extension course for those who are ready to go to the higher level courses. So let's have a look what's going on. I look at this and my brain sees two pairs. I just look at that and I could go like this and I can go, there's that pair and there's that pair. So the moment I see two pair, I just go, this is a sign rule. Then if I wanted to, if I was a letter person, I could call that capital A, call that capital B. I don't need that one there. So a cross on the capital B is little b, cross on the capital A is little a. I could write it equals A or A equals either way. So here's our rule, A on sign A equals B on sign B, and this can go in the non-calculator section because these are going to be the special numbers that we can use when we're doing trigonometry. Now, let's have a look what happens. The little a is the x, sine A is the sine of 30, the little b is 8, and then we've got the sine of 45. Now, I'm going to do this on purpose and sidetrack and show you what this is. From memorisation, some of you might have already remembered and learnt that sine 30 degrees equals a half. And I've got to sidetrack a bit here. Some of you may only want the short version because you already know this, so you could just fast forward ahead and get to the rest of it. So if I drew up a right angle triangle, there's the opposite, there's the hypotenuse. So if I have that as 30 degrees, and make it look reasonable, it looks 45, a bit less is about 30 degrees. Here's your right angle. Opposite is the 1 and the hypotenuse is the 2. And what do I do to use Pythagoras? I look at squares. I actually write squares. The square of 1 is 1, the square of 2 is 4, and you go, do I add the 1 and the 4? And the answer is no, because we're not getting a longer side, we're getting a shorter side. So another one of these I call SSS. I use SSS a fair bit. When you're getting the shorter side, you subtract it. Most people look at it and go, this has got to be shorter. So if you're getting shorter, we go 4 take 1 is 3, and that's the square. So how do you get the inside numbers? You go the square root of 3. And you can get very quick at it. Maybe I should make a video on just doing Pythagoras. If you didn't do it that way, you'd have to go c squared equals a squared plus b squared, or some people write h squared is a squared plus b squared, put the numbers in and figure out the answer. I could do it quickly. If we were looking for that one there, I'd have h squared is 2 squared, and then I'm going to put that as the x squared and write that as the 1 squared. So we've got 4 equals x squared plus 1. If I subtract 1 from this side, I'll subtract 1 from that side, and I've got x squared equals 3, and x equals the square root of the 3. And the shortcut is you can just go 4 take 1 is 3, and that's the square root of 3. I once had a builder come in to me one day and say, why don't students understand this? This timber is 2 metres and that timber is 1 metre. This one's a square root of 3. And it made me realise, and I started to change how I was teaching and what I was doing. So let's go over to here. The sine of 30, a lot of people will memorise that's a half. Now this is where it gets ugly or annoying, depending on how you deal with the question. Now we have this other one called sine 45, and I need to make a little bit of room here. Now, some teachers will draw this as an equilateral triangle. If your teacher does that, just accept it. Some people teach it as memorisation. So if I had a 45 degrees, a little bit of common sense for a moment. If that's 45 degrees, that means that with this as a right angle, this one also has to be 45 degrees. That means we have an isosceles triangle, so this one equals this one. So if I put a 1 there, I put a 1 there, then I can do my Pythagoras. 1 squared is 1, 1 squared is 1, 1. This time we're going the longer side, so I'm going to add 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, this is seriously dragging out, so no moving from there. So if you need to, please just move ahead if you know what you're doing. So what do I have? The sine of 45, sine is the opposite on the hypotenuse, so that's 1 on root 2. Now here's where a lot of students come unstuck. They put that in, they go, I don't know what to do. I am going to show you cross multiply, same in the last video and the video before. If this is just a fraction, complicated fraction, this is a fraction, again a complicated fraction, I can go the numerator times the other denominator equals the numerator times the other denominator. So let's come over to here. So this will be 1 on root 2, x, and this will be 8 times a half. So you could write 8 times a half, but most people are okay to do it in head. And you've got this unusual situation here. I'm going to write as x on root 2 equals 4. Nice thing about cross multiplication, it usually drops out pretty quick, even if it's revolting. How do I get rid of a divide by root 2? Opposites to both sides. I keep nagging about, you're sick of me saying it. What's the opposite of dividing by a square root of 2? I times by a square root of 2. If I do it to the left hand side, I do it to the right hand side. A root 2 on the numerator will cancel out with a root 2 on the denominator, and you're left with x. It's really 1x, but we don't write the 1. It's 4 root of 2, and that's a really nice exact answer. And then you could pop it in your calculator like that builder was saying to me and find out exactly what it is. So it's these values here. The big two to remember are tan 45 has to be, if you want to start thinking about from common sense, it has to be an isosceles triangle. If that's 1, that's 1. If that's 2, that's 2. So 2 over 2 for tan 45. I'll say reducing with 1. And the other one is sine 30 is a half. They're the special ones. I always talk about special numbers, but not here. That's enough on that for today. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm learning to talk a bit more about what I'm doing. If you're really enjoying it, let people know. Spread the word. And most of all, if you're a subscriber, I get to see that you subscribe to my channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. See you next time.